Center for an OCAA qualifying game between the Mohawk Mountaineers and the George Brown Huskies. The winner of this game is in the OCAA tournament, and the loser goes home. I'm Liam Dunlop, Nick Birnie. We'll hear from Christine Midgley in just a little bit. What are your keys to the game for Mohawk, Nick?
So I have 3 keys to the game for Mohawk. Number 1, they're a great shooting team, so it's going to be dial up from long distance. They need to be able to sink the shots that they get from beyond the three-point arc. Obviously, they got to stretch that defense, and one of the keys has been their free throw percentage. Their three-point percentage this year shooting. So obviously, you want to ride the strengths of your team. 2, another important thing, rotation, rotation, rotation. Mohawk's bench is one of the deepest we've seen in the OCAAs, so obviously they want to ride the players on the bench, but at the same time, they want to do quick shifts. They want to keep guys healthy, so that at the end of the game, they have more speed and endurance left to outrun their opponents in George Brown. And 3, another important part is spreading that offense around on the perimeter of the arc. You got to be able to go from one end of the court to the other, and I mean from one end of the three-point line to the other in order to stretch that defense and make George Brown really waste their energy.
George Brown's coming in 7-7, so they don't really have much to lose. So what are your keys for them?
For George Brown, one of the most important things will be, like I just mentioned for Mohawk in the three-point shooting, perimeter defense will be number 1. They need to be able to stop the three-point shot from the outside. That has been such a killer for Mohawk, and if they want any chance to stay in this game, they got to stop the three-point opportunities. Secondly will be slashing and crashing. They want to be able to drive the net. They are not a high shooting percentage team themselves, so they need to be able to get to the paint and make the easy buckets, and as well crash those boards and get second chance opportunities, or they may find themselves down early and often and out of this game. And third, MBK, whatever you want to say, all day. She's been the one touching the ball. She gets the most touches on this team. She brings the ball up the court the most. It may lead to turnovers, but she is the reason this team has any chance in this game. So hopefully she will be having a good day, or maybe George Brown might find themselves a little out of touch tonight.
Christine is with us on the sidelines. What do you got for us, Christine?
Thanks, Liam. It's great to see both you guys back for this game. Now we've got Mohawk heading off against George Brown, who has an incredibly strong defense. I talked to Coach Duffy about his strategies going into this game. He broke it down to 5 keys. Number 1, teams gotta talk. Keep the communication open on the court. Number 2, keep the game going at a fast pace. This means moving the ball, keeping the other team running. 3, box out. Gotta keep George Brown out of our key. Number 4, working on the ball defense, keeping the eye on the prize. And finally, 5, working on turnovers. This means keeping control of the ball. Now, if these keys are kept in mind the whole game, Mohawk will be successful. For the words of Duffy himself, win or go home. Now, Nick, Liam, back to you.
Thanks, Christine. Let's take a look at our starting lineups. We are underway. Starting for George Brown is Villar, Medeiros, MK, Sullivan, and Tomatuk. And for Mohawk, Karina Brown, Jen Genabella, Carissa Brown, Steph Rymack, and Hunter Johns.
And a nice finish early, almost down low, excuse me, but a little bit of too much body work from George Brown, so good boxing out.
Tomatuk passes it up top to Villar. Ball's on the ground, and Brown goes and gets it. Has to pass it out, and she gets it out to Abella. Abella goes right. Nice little move. She's going to stop, pop, and drop. That's her game.
Jen getting in it early. Like we said, long distance shots going to be important for Mohawk tonight.
There's MK. Good big rebound by Tomatuk. She cannot finish, but that's what we were saying at the beginning of the game. for the Keys. They're going to shoot a lot. Ball's up. Abella wide open for three. There's it is.
And there it is again. Early, long-distance shots, open from beyond the arc. Can't be giving up those all day if you're George Brown.
Lars taking it up on Abella. Not a lot of movement going on. Tomatuk thought about setting a pick. They give it left side to Medeiros. Medeiros cutting in with the left hand, going up, and misses everything very high. And Abella is off. Abella, quick pass up. Johns, she finishes with the right hand. Great pace by Mohawk.
And great, fast pace counter from one end to the complete other end in less than about 5 seconds.
Wide open is McKay, and she hits the wide open layup. That's not good defense by Mohawk.
Nothing you want to see there, easy buckets, but that's George Brown. They're going to need that all game.
Double dribble there called, and the coach for George Brown got a little frustrated on that. It was obvious.
Clearly, it's going to be a feisty one. There's a lot at stake here. So as you mentioned, tensions are going to rise, and early play in their own end. They got the call, but very displeased.
Here's Sullivan. She's crossing left. She's got nice handles. Good work by Brown, and she almost flips it up and in. She'll go to the line for 2 shots.
There's that cutting down low. That's what George Brown needs to do if they're going to stay in this game. They're going to have to force Mohawk into foul trouble because like we mentioned before in that deep bench, just hard to sift through this lineup. And the more you can get rid of players with foul trouble, the better George Brown's going to do.
Sullivan, nice stroke for the first. 67% shooter from the line. Second one is missed to the right, and they're going to call lane violation on Mohawk, so she'll get another chance.
And again, good work by George Brown being aggressive, going after those second chance rebound points that they can and should and need. And it turns into points for them.
Yeah, Mohawk's mistake turns into points for George Brown. Wide open is Johns. She gets it way too high for Abella. Bella's not the tallest player on the court, so you don't want to be chucking it up like that.
No, I think she had her misplaced with one of the Browns there, I think. A little bit of confusion.
Wide open is Tomatuk. Easy left-hand layup.
And you can see early changes starting from Mohawk. They want to get some fresh legs out on that court. They do not want George Brown running up and down.
Brown, Primac, she thinks about taking the three. She hits it. Deep 2, they call it, the ref.
Foot on the line, they're saying, from the corner.
Quick passing all the way up, left hand, no good. Big rebound by Sullivan. Kicks out Tomatuk for 3. No. Big rebound there, taken down by Karina Brown.
And good box out there by Karina.
Bella cutting, gives it off. Carissa Brown, she misses. Tomatuk's been everywhere.
They're going to need her clearly to keep up the aggressive play on the boards.
But she throws it away to Carissa. Carissa to Abella. Bella doesn't even think about taking it. Rymack for 3. She's hot.
And there's Steph making her presence felt. Lots of shooters from beyond the arc on this Mohawk squad.
Let's take another look at that. Good pass. Let the players fly by. And rattles it home. I was talking to her, Steph before the game, and she was saying she just seemed completely chill. Not like it was a win or go home situation. She's saying George Brown's coming in. They don't even have a chip on their shoulder. Nothing to lose, really. They're 7-7, playing against a 15-3 Mohawk squad. And she just seems so calm and collected.
I think you can kind of see it across the board for the Mountaineers. They seem like they've been here before. There are quite a few players on this team that have been a part of teams in the playoffs the last couple of years. So I think that kind of presence, that experience across the dressing room has kind of set an ease to this team going into this matchup today.
Subs on the floor for the Mountaineers. Brittany Gazzola, Jessica Ireland, and Kate Arbor on the floor now. Rymack again?
Oh,
short this time. Arbor goes up and gets the board.
And there's some good physical play by Caitlin Arbor down low. Being aggressive right on the other end, grabbing that offensive rebound.
Arbor out of my alma mater, Hill Park Secondary in Hamilton. It's not very often you get to say that in athletics.
I don't think you have to say that name a lot ever.
She gets the jumper, missed left side, and that goes off of Sullivan. Another chance for Mohawk. Mohawk up 12-6 over George Brown with 6 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Do or die qualifying game for the OCAA tournament. Abella deep triple. That's good.
My. And you watch her shoot that. That surprised me. She was a good 5 feet behind the three-point line. An impressive show of range from Jen Abella.
Tomatuk takes down the hard pass, but her right foot was out of bounds. But already 8 points for Jen Abella, and these are the games she loves.
Clearly, big-time player, big-time moments. She's taken over. She's kind of controlling the pace. But, again, we've seen Steph open for a couple threes. They've had some looks from the corner and gone down inside. And, again, I think that threat, that three-point threat is really hurting George Brown mentally right now.
Press easily broken by the Mountaineers. Abella has it. Gazzola right side. Abella jabs left. Feeds inside to Arbor, wide open. Nice pass by Abella and good finish on the inside by Arbor.
And there's that issue. When you give up those threes, you tend to press more on the outside of the arc and you open up things down low. Taking another look and you see that wide open space for Jen to fire it down.
Good work by McKay. Take it right at Arbor. They're going to say that's in the act of shooting, so she will take 2 shots.
Who is in charge for timeout?
And you hear it there, timeout, because George Brown starting to get more of a up and down the court kind of game. And I don't think that that's necessarily what they want out of this tonight with Mohawk. But it is one of those moments where I think early, time to take a break, settle it down before this 11-point lead now gets out of hand.
But as you were saying at the beginning of the game, I think for sure one of the biggest keys is the deep bench for Mohawk. We've seen Jen do it. We've seen Steph Rymack do it. And then Arbor comes off the bench and they find her wide open down low.
And I mean, that's one of the things that I think is funny about Mohawk's offense is a lot of times there's very little screen plays actually happening. Most of the offenses work from the top of the key, and a lot of teams don't do that unless you see it in the NBA even, because that's where the ball is most likely in danger to be taken back for a counterattack, a steal, going for easy buckets your own way. But Mohawk seems to like that. They like the ball at the top. They kind of let Steph, and as you've seen a lot of Jen tonight, work it from there. And it seems to be working against George Brown because it's forcing, as I said, those guards to press more higher up in the defensive end, and that's more space between them and the forwards down low, and that's just giving Mohawk tons of chances. And you saw it on the Arbor play, like you mentioned, just wide open, great lane for a pass too.
And that's what playing the zone defense is really going to hurt George Brown, because we know how good Mohawk is at passing the ball, and if they can find those holes in a zone, and that could be very dangerous.
I think that's one of the biggest issues right now. George Brown might actually go and settle on playing some man-to-man at the top. I don't know if that's something they will try, but it's something they could try because they cannot slow down right now. That kind of quick passing at the top of the three-point line.
McKay hits the first one. Not the best from the line at a 54% clip. Looked good for those two. So another 2 points on the board for George Brown. An attempt to be quick for the Mountaineers. Goes out of bounds, so George Brown with another possession a couple seconds after getting 2 points.
And Duffy keeping that full court press consistent as he has it through most of the early part of their games this season. He likes to put the pressure on. Excuse me.
No, you're good. Sullivan showing some good handles. She's going to hustle, but it says last touch off her. Good work by Mohawk there. Not allowing the easy shot. And Shannon O'Neill is getting ready to come on. Another player we haven't seen yet, but can produce. Nice passing inside. Too hot to handle for Arbor. I think Mohawk just needs to calm down on those passes and just get it in nicely, because, again, Arbor was wide open down low.
And you can see it, as you said, of that timeout, a little bit rushed in the last couple series down the floor, throwing the ball away, and even there, a bit of a rushed pass down low, but there is space, so George Brown still needs to find a way to stop that, because Mohawk, if they're not burying these shots, they're barely missing opportunities to score.
Gets into Villar. Villar's got some speed, but obviously Abella keeps up with her. Ball gets stripped on the outside by Gazzola, and that's what Gazzola is very good for. Very sticky hands. Abella keeps the dribble low. O'Neill in the corner. She misses. Good box up by Sullivan to get the board.
And we've seen Sullivan doing some good work on the glass for George Brown. Although she'll lose the handle there against Arbor.
That's great press by Arbor there. knocks the ball right out of bounds. Actually, bounced off Sullivan's foot, excuse me.
Right. And the Mohawk bench getting involved early. Jen Abella has come off.
Yep, Batnick now in. She has the ball up top. Left side, O'Neill. There's Batnick for 3. Short. Follows her own shot. Gets the rebound. Good work by Batnick.
A lot of second chance points right now have been left out there for Mohawk. So they are getting on the glass, but they haven't been able to finish a lot of their shots.
Arbor takes it left. Villar all over her. Ball stripped. Villar's running. She has O'Neill. O'Neill steals the ball away. Great hustle and awareness by O'Neill. Gazzola, left side Batnick. Trying to feed it in to Ireland, but couldn't get the post position.
And there's been a lot of active hands down low for George Brown, so that's one good thing. Albeit they're not moving their feet a lot, their hands have been active in the passing lanes on occasion. So a lot of tipped and loose balls getting knocked around.
Batnick shows 7 on the shot clock. Gazzola inside. O'Neill outside. Ireland no, but Batnick again with an offensive rebound. She's going to take it out and slow it down. O'Neill wide open shot. No good, but Arbor tips it out, but Sullivan's there.
And you can see that just right now the shot's not falling for Mohawk. The opportunities are there. They're getting looks from the corner. These are their shots. They want those. Just not happening at this moment.
Tomatuk. Stagnant offense, but Villar cuts right. Shoots it up. Good attempt, but Gazzola rips down the rebound, and she has Sullivan all over her. Gazzola all the way?
Oh,
good work by Brittany Gazzola. She'll get to the line for 2 shots, and that's great hustle.
And we've talked about Brittany and talked to Brittany. I know Christine has before about her game, and she's always said better at slashing. She's not a shooter, not as comfortable with her step-back game. That right there is exactly what she loves to do. Go right to the hoop, earn the foul, get the easy shots.
2 more starters are back on the floor for Mohawk, Karina Brown and Hunter Johns, as Gazzola misses the first shot. But Mohawk still leads 17-8. Second one is missed as well. Strong rebound by Tomatuk. Tomatuk has definitely been the player of the game so far for George Brown. High dribbles there, taken down. Sullivan's going to slow it up. Hands it off Villar. Not a lot of movement. Alento cuts baseline, goes up, scoops it, no.
And I will say right now, a bit of a mimicking offense for George Brown, but not working as fluently as Mohawks.
Batnick, Brown, Johns, Brown, John, and 1.
What a finish.
Those are difficult to make, getting hacked in the arm. Karina Brown will go to the line, try to make a 3-point play. She does. So Mohawk now at 20.
There hasn't been a lot of points scored in the last few minutes, I'll say that, on possession. So the game has really slowed down offensively for either side.
Sullivan takes up an awkward shot. But there's Tomatuk with a wide open layup off the offensive rebound. No boxing out at all. That was another one of your keys.
A lack of focus there.
O'Neill tries to get the foul. Good work by George Brown, not allowing. Sullivan left side. Ando chucks one up. That was awkward. Gazzola gets a strip, but O'Neill picks it up. Bannock likes to shoot it. Gazzola for 3.
Ooh.
Rattles out. Brown there, and she finishes.
But again, that, like you mentioned, we've said many times in this first quarter, top of the key. A lot of Mohawk Mountaineers getting left wide open. And if they're not shooting, they're starting a nice swing pass, and that leads to more offense. So George Brown has really got to buckle down here on defense, whether it's a switch of formation and style or just a little more aggressive and focused.
When you think it couldn't get any better for the Mountaineers, they bring it back Jen Nabella and Steph Rymack, who've had the 3-point touch so far, with 1.5 minutes remaining in this first.
This should be an important end of the
Sloppy
quarter.
pass. Wide open layup for Johns, and she's going to hit that every day. And that was just a errant, sloppy, lofty pass.
And ironic enough, as I was saying, a very important couple possessions here for George Brown. They give it away 2 times in a row and under the span of 5 seconds, I think. So
yeah,
no.
they almost got the 8-second violation, so panic set in. Rymack, now they're going to start defending her outside. Let's see what happens inside. Brown shows. Abella has her right side. Good switch. Batnick for 3. She can hit it. Not this time, and that tips out. Rymack, Batnick, see if she goes again. Inside Brown. Brown sets up. Finished with the right hand.
Now that is spreading the offense there. Wonderful work going from one side to the other. Quick passes. No one able to adjust. Getting to the closest person to the basket. Easy points.
Tomatuk for 3. Short. Gets her own rebound through the legs. Up. And that was wild. But
good try there by Tomatuk. Just a little out of control, I think, as she took it, so she had really no opportunity to get a second shot off.
Rymack for 3. Off. But Brown's there again. Brown finishes again.
That's going up strong.
Karina Brown has just been a menace down low. Good trap play and takeaway. Jump ball, and that's Mohawk's possession for the last 14 seconds. Already up 18. Let's see if they can take it to a 20-point lead or more.
And I will say, since that last series of timeouts, the possessions backing down have been all Mohawk, whether it's defense or offense. So they keep getting a little more aggressive as the game seems to go.
Bella airmails that one with 4.6 remaining. See what George Brown can do in the remaining seconds. They're going to have to get something down court quick. They give it off to Medeiros. Medeiros hucks it. Brown, let's see if she can do it. Chucks one up.
Oh.
No. Almost hits our camera guy.
Little Steph Curry magic at the end there.
So after the end of first, Mohawk leads George Brown 28-10, and the 3, Karina Brown, Steph Rymack, and Jen Janabella, as we see her hit that right there. But Tomatuk has been great for George Brown as well.
I think a couple things that would be positive for George Brown is Tomatuk's been on the ball. She looks aggressive. She's following up her shots, which is nice because there's been a lack of that from any of the 5 in blue on the floor. It seems like they need to be a little more of that crash mentality on the boards, which I was mentioning earlier. Maybe they really aren't as aggressive as they should be as a team anyways, but that would definitely be a big plus if they could add that to their game going forward, because they've really been outworked on the boards. And I mean, that's a major part of this game considering how good Mohawk has shot. And you mentioned the 3 players that have been stepping up for them in their games. Well, I mean, at the same time, George Brown may have occasional positives here, but they need to kind of, as a team, unite and kind of bring a more aggressive effort to even get close. I mean, a 28-10 scoreline was not, I think, what either side would have expected before this game started. So this has definitely not been the first quarter that George Brown wanted, but they're not as far out of it as it seems by score.
We keep going back to your keys to the game, Nick, and McKay. Where has she been at? That's a big question.
That was one thing that honestly I almost think I've been fooled by it. I thought she'd have more possession of the ball. We saw her get some shots early, and it was more down low in the paint, easy under the basket type scores. And those are things that I think they need. But at the same time, I think Mohawk's done a good job of following her around. Sullivan's got a lot of touches, and I know that Sullivan's done a good job with the ball, but she doesn't seem like she has the most confidence with it. So I think McKay is actually the one that they would prefer have the ball in her hands the most. Unfortunately, Mohawk's done a good job of eliminating that possibility, and maybe that is why George Brown's been held to the 10 points. This is definitely not a high-scoring team in general, but definitely not as, sloppy we've seen them in that first 10 minutes.
As we get the stat sheets, Mohawk almost has as many offensive rebounds as George Brown does total, and one of the big numbers is points off turnovers. Mohawk 14, George Brown 2, as there is another turnover for George Brown. Let's see what Mohawk can do here. Brown inside Arbor gets kicked out of bounds. It'll be Mohawk ball underneath the basket. Anything else you see on the stat sheet?
I was going to say, you mentioned points off turnovers, 14-2. Second chance points, 7-0. Not a single George Brown second point thus far. And when you look at that stat, that's going to be really a defining stat going forward. Can they even that up? Can they bring that back closer? Because that's going to be more rebounds. That's going to need, more rebounds and more finishing on second chance points.
Good passing around the horn, but Donald can't hit. Arbor steals it. Bella Rymack for wide open triple. Yes!
And that's Steph doing what she does. Sets up, spots on one of the corners, and she's deadly from there when she's open. And again, open looks.
Ball's on the ground. Villar takes it down with one hand. Pick being set. Good movement on defense by the Mountaineers, and they take it away. Rymack up to Abella. She has a Medeiros right on her. Up and in!
That was circus.
That's highlight reel material right there.
If we had ourselves a Sports Center top 10, that'd be the top 1, 2, and 3.
Easily. Medeiros up. She misses. Let's take another look at that. That is impossible. That is so difficult to do.
And that whole play, really an incredible play, watching Steph with the live hands on the side right in front of us. She gets to Jen, who's outrunning every single George Brown girl on the way back. So shows you the kind of play these two can have and the impact they can alone have on a game.
Campbell has the right side. She's squaring up against Carissa Brown. Nice corner jumper there. Good work by Cadman, who we haven't seen much of so far. Emily Cadman.
Yeah, that's her first shot.
Rookie from Vancouver.
15 seconds was all she got in the first quarter, so hopefully this will be a bit of a spark off the bench.
Arbor missed it short. Ball still bouncing around. Donald tried to keep it in, but she stepped out of bounds. So 33-12. Mohawk just ballooning the score.
As I was mentioning prior, the deep bench in the rotation, just 3 players who did not touch the court in the first quarter for Mohawk. And now, of course, Donald, one of those 3 players, currently on the court as we speak. And I'm sure we will get to see Miss Dutrazak and Randazzo as the game goes forward.
A lot of sloppy play both ways, but Carissa Brown picks it up. She gets hacked, and she'll go to the line for 2 shots. Misses the first one strong. Second one is short, so couldn't find that happy medium.
I will say Mohawk a bit of a early struggle on the free throws, though they haven't gotten to the line too often yet in this one.
Yeah, 1 out of 5, so not very good odds. Good work by Steph Rymack to read the pass there, but Villar has it up top. There's Cadman. Cadman cuts left, throws up a circus shot, no. Abella has numbers. Rymack, Donald's wide open down low, and Medeiros covered her nicely.
A little more tight press at the top of the perimeter from George Brown.
Abella's wide open over here. Let's see if Brown sees her, and she does. Pump fakes, steps up, trying to bank it. No. Arbor gets another offensive rebound. She gets fouled. Great work by Arbor, who's technically not the tallest player on the court usually, but she seems to be right now, at least the way she's playing.
And she's definitely putting in the work on the offensive boards. There were 9 offensive boards in that first quarter alone for Mohawk, and you can put on a 10th and 11th in the early goings of this one. So they are attacking and being aggressive, but like you said, the free throws, a bit of a stinker at this point in time.
No other way to describe it, for sure. And that's what they're going to have to work on going into this playoffs, especially if they win this game, go on to the OCAAs. If they do well in the OCAAs, possibly making it onto the Nationals, they got to work on free throws because as a team this season, 62% is actually pretty good for the OCAA women's, but still, free throws. They're called free for a reason, and that's another turnover for George Brown. And you can just see the long faces on the bench. Coach hasn't said anything in a while. And just
looking at the floor actually currently, which was exactly where I sweeped earlier, but
Bella wide open, deep triple, rattles out. And another strong rebound for Sullivan.
I think George Brown needs a little bit of a pick-me-up right now from their team.
And that could have done it. But Sullivan will go to the line for 2 shots, and she's been a spark plug.
One of the few who's really seemed like she's into the game today, like she's ready to play, because quite a few in blue don't seem to be or haven't arrived quite yet on the court, it almost feels like.
First one rattles out.
And like you mentioned, a lot less communication on the George Brown side, a lot more talking from Mohawk, so you can see how into the game the Mountaineers are as a team in comparison. The communication clearly there for Mohawk.
Sullivan's been lucky at the line with Jessica Ireland stepping in too early, so she gets a third chance again. Puts it through.
George Brown needing every single point right now.
Bella cuts through everyone. She still retains the dribble. Gazzola pump fake. She cuts. Chucks it at the ground, but Abella gets it. A lot of movement. Ireland pump fakes. Goes up. Gives it over to Brown. Air ball. There's Tomatuk again. There's McKay. She finishes the left hand. That's what George Brown wants to see.
Now we're going to see a little bit from her. A little bit of athleticism there, cutting to the hoop and using her left.
O'Neal wide open. Gazzola wide open. Gazzola takes the jumper. Good. That's a deep 2, they'll call it.
So she might not believe she can shoot, but she proves it otherwise.
McKay, Tomatuk. Easy layup. Transition defense. Where is it gone?
And you can see the last couple transitions here, back and forth up the court, very quick from either side.
Almost
both teams trying to run.
Yeah, full group sub's going to be coming on for Mohawk at this whistle.
And I think Duffy's point here to the ladies before he brings on the full switch is stop being so tight together.
Yeah.
Seems to be like they're jamming each other up and they're getting in one another's way more than they're actually helping each other out.
The 5 on the court now. Johns, Batnick to inbound. Donald, Randazzo, and Hrymak. They're inside. Donald gets it blocked. Tomatuk there again. Ball's on the ground. Picked up by McKay. But good work by Tomatuk. She's filling up the stat sheet for the Huskies. Sullivan got nice handle. Spinning right. Doesn't want to pull the trigger. McKay. McKay, nice.
And
Euro
that
step.
was a beautiful finish cutting through the lane. So she shows you a bit of her game. And we're going to see a great take. Unfortunately, I thought the feet were moving there myself. But Rymack's going to get called on that charge. That was quite a stand-up there.
You never want to see knee on knees, especially in basketball, because there's nothing covering them. That's the one spot that's vulnerable. Like, well, there's many spots that are vulnerable, but seeing a knee on knee is very scary.
I will say, Steph looking a little shaken up after that, but good step in by Alento. It's things like that that George Brown need. Right now, this is a desperate team. They got to play desperate. They're down by 17 points. This is definitely a little bit out of their control right now, as if they can get back in it, but it's slowly chopping away at the lead. They got to bring this down to about 10, hopefully, maybe 15 before halftime. It just slowly, you know what I mean? Just keep it here, get a little closer, chip away at this lead. They got to be slow and steady, because honestly, if they try to get it back too quickly, we saw the transition game, Mohawk will run all day on them. So this is the way they're going to have to do it, getting some turnovers and being smart in transition.
As we saw there, Coach Duffy for Mohawk, he doesn't care if he's up by 20, down by 20, up by 100. He's going to coach till the whistle ends, the fourth quarter. And he was saying, don't let them behind you. That's the one thing. It's like playing corner or safety in football. Do not let that last guy behind you. You're playing defender in soccer. That's the one thing you can't do on defense. If somebody gets behind you, they have a free lane to the basket.
And I think it's funny because it's one of those simple things almost as an athlete or someone playing a sport. So you don't want to give up the easiest points, the easiest way to score for the other team. So going forward, I think Duffy's message is really simple to this team. You're doing well. You just got to keep the aggressive play up, because the moment you let up is the moment that you give up those easy baskets.
Tomatuk misses the corner 3. They're going to call another charge, this time against Shannon O'Neal, and Duffy is completely confused.
And now we're seeing a little bit of heat from both coaches. So the playoffs are amongst us.
Yeah, but sometimes you see refs go towards a team that's losing. I'm not saying that was a bad call. I'd have to see it again, but Duffy surely thinks it is.
And there may be a little sense of a comeback too, which Duffy does not want He does not want to give any slight change of momentum to this team, and maybe it's happening.
Sullivan with the rainbow arc shot. But we heard on that charge, the whole bench for the Huskies just got up, and that's what you like to see. Good passing out. Batnick.
These are important possessions now for Mohawk offensively.
Great movement by the Huskies on defense, but Donald's open. That rattles out. Sullivan with a big rebound.
And another important stop for George Brown, because right now these are huge missed opportunities for Mohawk. And again, like I said, now it's 15. That leads slowly as it gets chipped away.
Subs coming in.
The closer this game gets, once again, the more pressure is going to be on the Mountaineers. So right now, George Brown just doing all they can.
Arbor, Abella, and Karina Brown back on the floor for Mohawk.
Now 4.
They have 2 seconds to
Pressure.
get over, and they get it. McKay, she's got great handles, but that gets stripped away by Batnick. Ball's on the ground. Randazzo running the left side. They're running their lanes nicely. Batnick for 3, short. Her shot's been off today, but no rebounding by
Lack
George
of
Brown.
effort there.
Yeah, nobody wanted to dive on the ground and get that ball. Randazzo inside. Arbor misses Schlong. Oh, Brown's there. Abella for 3. Got to get something going, does Mohawk.
And George
Good work
Brown
there
will
by
win
Lenta.
that.
Excuse me. Sorry about that.
No, I was going to say George Brown winning that luckily, because
Yeah.
that was a heck of a serious play for Mohawk, and very unfortunate that they didn't get anything off that. So there have been moments here where George Brown almost feels like they're sneaking away to stay in this game, because Mohawk is almost just giving it back to them by just not being clinical enough.
Mackay getting trapped, and that's beautiful. Ball's on the ground, gets hit. They're going to say last touch off White. So 11 on the shot clock for George Brown to go half the court with. But great trap by Mohawk. Mackay, nothing to do.
And like you mentioned before, Duffy, no matter up 20, down 20, they play the same style, that pressure. Full court press has really been there the entire first half.
Villar step back. Short. Big rebound by Gazzola, who's fresh. Rymack's back on the court. You never see a little injury get her off. Brown, jumper, rattles out. Another miss, but I want to see Mohawk go back inside.
And there has been a lack of down-low presence right now for the Mountaineers.
Alento crossing over. Has Abella all over her. Nice spin left. That's a hard shot, but Sullivan gets the offensive rebound. Steps out, knocks it off Gazzola, takes a weird spin and stays in bounds. Rymack has either 2 passes or an easy layup. She takes the layup.
And there's a nice easy transition bucket to put an end to that lack of scoring for the Mohawk Mountaineers. So that was a huge 2 points there from Steph.
38-21 now for Mohawk. Nice spin, Mackay. Goes up, can't hit it. Good box out by Brown. Abella back to Rymack. Trailer, no. Offensive rebound by Arbor. No foul call. But ball's on the ground. Alento picks it up. Sullivan gets it across just in the nick of time. Pure ISO for Sullivan.
And 4 Mohawk players back down into the paint to take her. So I think a little bit of luck there for George Brown to earn a call, because she was walking into the lines.
Yeah, definitely. She was going where one lady shouldn't go, into the paint without any help.
Goodness. And
wide open by
I
Villar.
believe now the Duffy is looking at the ref wondering, how could you have been talking to my player?
Because Abella's limping here. They're going to call a travel on Rymack. I'm not sure what's going on.
And things are starting to unravel a bit for Mohawk, because their bench is clearly angry. They thought the play hadn't even started before that last play got inbounded. Duffy believes it should have been inbounded off to the side. He was switching a player in, I believe, for Abella at the same time. So while all that was going on, a bucket was scored and a turnover. So I think that's a worse nightmare for Duffy.
38-23 now for Mohawk. Lobs it into Villar. Wide open is Tomatuk, and then wide open is Campbell, and Mohawk just falling apart there again.
And the pressure being brought now full court by George Brown, and it's working.
Yeah, Rymack picked up the ball way too early. Tomatuk tries to go up, and they're going to call the foul on Rymack. Tomatuk will go to the line for 2 shots.
And Duffy giving the biggest wry smile of his life down at us, looking for help. He's wondering what the heck is happening. The calls are, if anything, pretty weak. And I mean, even on that one, she drove strong to the net, but that was a pretty weak call on the hand check.
First one's good.
So some questionable decisions from the men in stripes thus far, but still the point remains. George Brown making a comeback, and Mohawk, like you said, needs something to turn it around right now. Looking sloppy.
Brown rushing. O'Neal gives into Arbor, and they're going to say last touch off the Huskies. So 16 on the shot clock, 2 minutes on the game clock. Shannon O'Neal to inbound. No movement. Rymack, Gazzola. Fake strike goes left. Brown with the jumper. Air ball. O'Neal takes it down. Gazzola, deep jumper. No.
And it feels like Mohawk is just shooting now, just almost as if it's dynamite in their hands. They need to relax. They need to understand they're in the lead. There's still time left to take the ball down and make proper plays. So
inside was Medeiros. She misread it. O'Neal. Gazzola wide open. Pump fakes. Goes in. All the way up. No call. And again, Shannon O'Neal keeps the ball in bounds. Ball's on the ground.
Oh!
2 Mountaineers ran over each other.
Arbor and Brown there, and Brown getting up slow. And now, unfortunately, Arbor having to stick a leg out just to slow things down because Mohawk was running all over the place. They just lost 2 at the same time in that collision. Goodness.
George Brown now in the bonus, so they'll get 2 shots for that, and they can cut this lead to within 10.
And we were talking like 3 minutes ago, the last little break we had, and that was a 16, 17-point lead. Now we're 11. So like I said, chipping away, it's not going to be pretty, but that whole last 3 minutes of play was owned by George Brown. Yes, Mohawk had a bucket here or there, but if this is the game that we see going forward, we might actually have a game by the time we get to the 4th quarter, because this is not the kind of game Mohawk wants. And I know Duffy is probably furious with the last 4 minutes, the way that they've been playing transition D, the way that they've had the ball, the way they've possessed the ball coming to half court. So I think he's going to preach patience, control, and simply just calm down. Remember, we're in the lead. They have to remember the scenario they've put themselves in and why they got here, and I think that'll just kind of bring things down to a halt.
And I totally agree with you what you said when we were on offense. Well, when Mohawk was on offense, is they're shooting like they have dynamite or a hot potato in their hand, and they just don't want to hold it. Hold the ball, pass it around, find the inside man if they're wide open, or woman, and just get the easy basket. Stop hucking up triples, hucking up 20-foot 2 balls. It's pointless offensively, and go to what was working in the first.
And I think that's 2 things. In one stance, as we mentioned prior, they have a great shooting team. So they do like and feel comfortable shooting from, I think, anywhere. I think everyone on this team has comfort with that pretty much. However, then again, like you said, that hot potato feeling comes when you feel that pressure, that stress of not scoring on consistent possessions. And as Mohawk has a few possessions they can't bury, it seems to be getting to them a bit. Maybe they are rushing shots. So
as I said before the timeout, the Huskies are in the bonus now. Missed both, but Sullivan takes it down. She's got great handles again. Goes up with the right hand and finishes.
That was a strong play down the middle from Sullivan. She is being relentless as she gets to the hoop.
Under a minute remaining. Gazzola just got past half. Rymack. They get it all the way into Ireland. Gives it over to O'Neal. Finishes with the right hand. That's what great play is, the extra pass.
Exactly. Extra pass leading to an easier bucket, and that's what they need right now.
Sullivan, Medeiros, way up to Tomatuk. Sullivan, let's see if she can hit the triple. She's wide open. Nobody even touched her.
Oh,
she
my.
hits it.
And you could see Johns gave her a look like, you can shoot that all day over me, and unfortunately she said sure.
They're going to call the foul there on Sullivan. 17.8 on the game clock, 15 on the shot clock. So O'Neal to inbound left side. No movement at all. Rymack. Gazzola. O'Neal. There's the movement. They give it over to Gazzola. Rymack still around the horn. Villar all over her. Has to chuck it up, and that's good.
Nailing it. Wow.
That's a good way to end the first half.
A terrific leaner shot there from Steph, I must say.
So at the end of the first half, Mohawk leads 42-32 over George Brown, and some interesting play. It seems like it was a tale of two quarters.
I think pretty much. I think in that first 10 minutes, really what you saw was Mohawk come out and get exactly what they wanted out of this game. They come out, they drive the paint, they set up the open shots on the outside, and lately, the hot potato thing, it's just, it's kind of almost embarrassing, surprising, because you feel bad. You watch this team, you know how good they are offensively, and to see them get a little bit stressed, they're watching George Brown clip back. It is an 8-point game. It was 17 points at one point. That does weigh on your mind a bit, and I can see them taking a little bit too much, of that stress onto their game and the way they're shooting. So I think that's one thing that we can hope to see change, is that Mohawk coming out of the third quarter, go back to that game in the first quarter that you had. Patient, down low, outside. That's how you earn those shots for yourself.
Christine has an interview for us. Who do you got, Christine?
Hey guys, I'm here with Karina Brown. Now, George Brown, one of the strongest defensive teams in the OCAA. You guys have the lead right now. How have you been pushing through?
We've just been seeing their weak spots, so when you're behind them, they lose track of you, and we've been able to see the pockets, and luckily our shots have been sinking, so we're fortunate for that. But just seeing where they're not and then taking advantage of that.
Okay, well, perfect. Now, looking forward, how are you going to sustain that lead in the second half?
Well, we haven't been talking a lot on defense, and they've gotten some points because of it, so we just have to come together and talk as a team, and when we talk, that's when we start getting our minds in it, and then defensive plays win games, so hopefully if we get stronger on defense, we'll be able to pull a W.
Perfect. Well, you guys heard it. Communication is the key to this game, just like Coach Shovey said at the beginning. Liam, Nick, back to you.
Thank you very much, Christine. Let's take a look at some first half highlights. Welcome back to Mohawk College. Liam Dunlop, Nick Birnie, and Christine Midgley here. And Mohawk only leads George Brown 42-32 after that first quarter. They were leading 28-10, Nick, and they allowed 22 in the second. So it is a tale of two quarters.
Yeah, as we said coming into this break, it was pretty much Mohawk all in the first quarter. George Brown slowly took back that second quarter, and like I said towards the end of it, if this doesn't become a game where Mohawk refines themselves, controls that kind of pace offensively, remembers that working the ball around will open up the easier shot, they may actually get into some more trouble. But as you see Steph start there with a beautiful three ball, that's the kind of offense they need to portray here in the third quarter if they want to take that lead back into their hands.
Another steal from Mohawk too, and O'Neal chucks it up. No, Brown tips it down and gets it. Bella goes. Arbor. Rymack, O'Neal, back to Rymack again. Yes!
My goodness.
Rymack now with 18 points.
So, good start in the second half here in terms of the offensive wheeling.
There's Villar pushing off, going up. No, blocked by Arbor. There's a foul there. Frustration foul on Villar. Substitution on the floor. McKay coming off. Talita Campbell, who's been strong for George Brown so far, steps on the court. Brown, Arbor, wide open layup, blocked actually. Tomatuk comes out of
down
nowhere.
low there. Active hands from George Brown in the paint.
Tomatuk inside Medeiros. No good. Let's take a look at that Tomatuk block. Nice work by Tomatuk. No look pass. O'Neal. Rymack again. She is on fire, folks.
What a
21
start.
points now.
There you see it. When she gets open from beyond the arc, because you're going down low and you're creating that space for her, she is deadly and coming out sharpshooting to help her team get that advantage back up in double digits.
Sullivan. Jabs left, goes left, throws it up, and hook shot goes.
And George Brown needed that. They needed some points here coming into this second half to stop this quick start.
Bella frustrated while she threw that ball away. Sullivan has some time. Let's see if she'll shoot it again. Taking it up. A very awkward shot. Rebound taken down. Primax rushing. She gets it. Around the horn to O'Neal. All the way to Brown. Cross court Rymack again. Not this time. But rebound taken down. Actually, that should have been a foul. But Abella rushes.
Oh! And off to the side there, as you were saying, as Arbor almost got the ball from saving it from out of bounds, she then got tied up with the defender.
Medeiros.
And then as she got up to leave,
Medeiros gave her like a...
as she got up to leave that area and get back into the play, I think she received a shove or a trip from behind and collapsed to the floor. So we're going to see a foul, and she's going to the line.
I think they're going to call that flagrant. So Arbor will get 2 shots. First one's missed. That's not what you like to see from anything in sports.
I think, honestly, I think they got a little tangled up. I don't want to have any
Point fingers or anything, yeah.
pointing fingers here, blame delay, but I think it was just unfortunate. Arbor was kind of a little flat-footed as she was getting up anyway, so might have even tripped her own self up a bit, but I'm sure the Mountaineers will take the point. So
She missed both, actually.
well, the opportunity at the point, I should say then. But they also gained possession, so
Yes.
a positive for Mohawk.
Rymack, left side of Bella. Inside Donald. Rymack all the way again. Abella. Rymack step back. Yes!
And I'll say, there hasn't been maybe the most movement offensively to earn those points, but Steph is just doing what Steph does. 4 of 5, I think, now to start from beyond the arc in this quarter alone.
Now Mohawk leads by 20, 54-34, with 7:10 remaining in this third quarter.
He called it, so we saw it.
And the game has taken a bit of a turn, like we said, back to offense for Mohawk and back to their kind of possession. They're owning this game. They're controlling the clock, the possession, and the time it takes to get up and down the court as well.
Medeiros misses from the line, and sloppy free throw shooting from both teams to start this third. Second one is good. And McKay is coming back in for Campbell. As long as Rymack's on the court, seems like Mohawk can do no wrong.
And her and Abella have been the main two, but as you said, Steph has come out firing in this quarter.
Brown missed. Donald picked it up, and she banks it home. Nice pass by Tomatuk all the way inside Sullivan. Runs over Abella, but no call either way, but great finish by Sullivan, who was 1 rebound away from a first half double-double.
And she's had really the driving, or been the driving force behind George Brown offensively, and she unfortunately will commit the foul trying to get in front of Jen there. But like you said, she has been the number one. McKay has really not been able to step into this game and take her kind of, I guess, really grab her moment from it yet. So Sullivan has been relied on a lot more than I think maybe even she expected.
Karina Brown will go to the line for 2 shots as she got fouled in the back end. And Brittany Gazzola comes in for Shannon O'Neill right now. Let's see if Mohawk can get their free throws going. Not this time. You hear more noise when Mohawk's up for the free throws from the George Brown supporters than we do from Mohawk supporters when George Brown is up.
Funny enough, I think that was Mohawk supporters, but I think they're more cheering than trying to jeer. This is a bit of a push on for the Mountaineers, but at the same time, a lot of lack of communication from George Brown's own bench. We haven't heard a lot of their team talking to each other in this second quarter. I don't know if they came out of the second quarter, or sorry, in the second half. I don't know if they came out of the second quarter thinking this was going to be an easy third quarter and start, but they don't seem like they have the same kind of grit and aggressiveness that they finished the first half with.
6.5 minutes remaining in this third quarter. Medeiros gets it back quick. Keeps her head up while she's running. Sullivan, Villar, step up, nice.
They needed that offensively, something to go right for them.
Zola, great passing. Primax in, scoops it up, misses. Donald's up, and the foul is called. We're going to see who that's against. That will go against Villar. Good work by Donald, another one of those bench players coming on, getting offensive rebounds, and getting second chance opportunities.
And like we said before, the rotation is one of the keys, and they have clearly used their bench to their advantage. They are not tired. They're not looking at least. And they're running up and down the court on transition quite well, but as we mentioned before, these free throws seem to be harming them a bit and holding them back from extending that lead even further.
They were shooting 29% in the first half, and it's going downwards, but Donald hits that one to change it around, and sarcastic cheers from the audience.
About time, I think, is the feeling from the crowd.
McKay, Villar all the way left side, Tomatuk. Nice pass out to Medeiros. Rebounds up, and there's the double-double for Sullivan. Having one heck of a game.
She has been everywhere for them.
Villar trying to get hot. Cannot hit that short. Rymack, Abella, over to Donald. Good read by Medeiros to knock that ball out of bounds.
Good hustle back defense. Coach was not very pleased with the pressure there in the front court press. It was lacking from Faith Axer's team, but good comeback D.
Abella tried the deep three. She missed. Ireland picks it up. Abella's still going. Pushes it out to Ireland. Short. I think that got blocked by Sullivan. And offensive take by Ireland. Medeiros not pleased with that one at all.
It was a close play down on the sidelines. And I think she was able to set her feet, Ireland, just prior to taking the contact.
Substitution on the floor. Alento takes off Medeiros. Medeiros not happy with the call. Vanek inbound, got it back. Ireland. Vanek inside, right through Donald's mitts. Those are the ones you have to catch and turn and shoot.
And we've seen quite a few, actually, Mohawk missed opportunities on easy down-low chances where they've worked the ball terrifically around in the offense they set up, but unable to finish when they really get the one chance they need.
In the corners, Tomatuk, no. Gazola goes up and gets the rebound at the highest point. She's using that speed, going left side, runs over her man,
there by
finishes.
Gazola. That's her game. Slash to the bucket, go up with strength. She didn't show any fear there. Great work to step around and not take the charge. Wonderful bucket.
Nice take there by Mackay. Haven't seen too much of her, as we said. Triple trap. That means somebody's got to be open, and they throw it away. Mackay's wide open left side. She takes it. Awkward.
And good work by Sullivan, and she's going to earn it and one at the same time. And like you had just said, a triple team comes over the line, and Mohawk had 3-on-1 the other way and a misplayed ball throwing it to the one single defender back, ending up costing them on the other way here. bit of a rush decisions, and sometimes that hot potato factor seems to be coming into Mohawk's offense where they just seem to rush just a little bit when they really don't need to. They have a little more time than I think they quite believe they do.
Let's see if Sullivan can finish up. Yes, she does.
Classic three-point play from the line. Don't see many of those anymore.
Yeah. Almost another thrown away ball, but Brown takes it down, throws it up. No. Another big rebound. This time Gazzola. Gazzola tucks it under. Foul called. It looked like it could have been a travel first, I do believe.
It was a tight call down low. I think Sullivan got her arm on the ball at the same time as Gazzola went to leave her feet, but tough to say. Referee seems to believe that she hit her on the forearm before making contact with the ball there. So it is a reach-in foul, and I think Gazzola's going to line for 2.
That's the 4th on Melissa Villar. One of the only seniors on this lineup. Another miss, this time by Gazzola at the line. Missed again, but Arbor's there for an offensive rebound. She's going to go up. They're going to say that another foul. She'll go to line for 2 shots.
And you can see the trouble here is little things for George Brown boxing out, getting these important rebounds. You miss 2 free throws if you're Mohawk. That was a really unfortunate set of free throws there. But to get that offensive board, you just wipe it clean. So George Brown missing opportunities to cut into this lead here.
First one's good. Another round of cheers from the crowd.
Touching the 60 mark now, so the points are starting to raise.
Second one is good. Good work by Arbor. Finally getting the monkey off her back, which was free throw shooting. There's 4 fouls on Villar, as I said, and she's going to take it down the heart. Tomahawk. Something fell out of somebody's mouth. I think it might be gum on the court.
Trying to overstep it there near the three-point line.
Sullivan throws up an awkward shot. Brown takes down the rebound. Rymack looking for someone to pop out. That is Gazzola.
And I think as Arbor was going down low, she's either going to get a 3 in the key for that one.
Yeah, good call.
She was open, but I don't believe Steph saw her in time, and unfortunately she hung around just a little too long.
Thrown right to Batnick. Batnick floats one up and in, and that's just not a good play by Leto on the baseline.
That might have been the easiest turnover and steal she's ever had in her life.
And Mackay, frustrated with herself, she steps out of bounds there.
And you can see George Brown as they start to see the clock dwindle, and that becomes their enemy more with this deficit. That stress is kicking in and starting to get a little bit out of sync here.
I'm surprised there hasn't been a timeout yet.
No, not
we're trying
in this
to
quarter.
listen to Christine and get her to say something. We need to hear from her.
I don't know if it's George Brown or Mohawk, but both teams don't want to hear from her. Well, I think we should kick it to her soon anyways.
Yeah, we'll kick it to her right now. Christine, what do you got to say?
Thanks, Liam. Yeah, I had a chance to sit down with the assistant coach for George Brown over the half, and she was talking about the strategy preparing for this game. As any game, they have been trying to give 100%. It's crunch time, so it's time to give it their all. Now, the biggest challenge in the first half was consistency, both in their plays and in communication. Their second half, basically, the team just wants to see them put in some solid effort. It seems like both teams, Mohawk and George Brown, really have a focus on talking in this half of the game. Back to you.
Christine, and right as I say that, timeout on the floor for George Brown.
They have good timing, clearly. But I think, as Christine alluded to, the effort was what they wanted coming out of the half. It was there at the end of the first half, and it has not been here in the third quarter. We have not seen anything close to it. 7 minutes have been dominated by Mohawk. The lead stretched up to nearly 20. It was at above 20 at one point. So, I mean, holy moly, what we thought would happen kind of has been really the story of the game. First quarter Mohawk, second quarter little fight back, third quarter Mohawk. I expect maybe we will see some fight back. But the way this game's going, Mohawk is well on their way to, I think, booking themselves a playoff ticket, or sorry, another game in the playoffs here. And at the same time, we've always said, me and Sadie and other broadcasts, that as you go towards, these kind of moments in games, you work on things. And I'm not saying this is a time to try and work some kinks out, but like you said, free throws have been lacking. I think Duffy wants to improve some stuff. I expect an aggressive Mohawk team near the end because they still want to try and better what they're doing so going forward into the next matchup. Not to say they should overlook these last 13 minutes, but this game's starting to dwindle and leave the hands of George Brown very soon.
3 minutes and 10 seconds remaining. And the 5 on the court for the Mountaineers are Batnick, Gazzola, Rymack, Brown, and Arbor as Villar goes to the line for 2 shots. Hits the first one. Villar hits both. Good trip for her. Nice press break. Rymack thought about taking the shot. Arbor, Brown, back to Arbor. Nice work. Finishes with the right hand.
Good work down low from the Mountaineers. Able to get that ball into the paint. Easy buckets. They need these at these times. They got to keep putting George Brown away.
Sullivan throws one up. No. Batnick takes down the rebound. Rymack's going to use her speed. Cut back. Wide open to Brown. Brown up and under. No. Tomatuk takes it down, gives it over to Medeiros. And Campbell's trying to get past the timeline, and she does.
And you can see the message from George Brown bench, get up the floor, be active. You have to get forward on offense. You have to get back on D. If you're not running, you're not creating anything. And great shot there, though, from beyond the arc.
Faye Tomatuk from a place I don't think I've ever heard of before, Moose Factory. I didn't know they made moose, but Gazzola has it here, but she put down a nice 3.
That 3 seemed like it was so far away. It was from Saskatoon.
Where the heck is Moose Factory?
I'm not sure, but it's not near Moose Jaw, is it?
Good question. I have honestly no idea.
This is why we have Christine Midgley with us. She's the Google Map queen. She'll be getting on that for us, I'm sure, in just a moment.
So there's a foul on the floor, and Arbor will go to the line for another couple as Mohawk is now in the bonus for the rest of this 2 minutes in this third quarter. First one's good. She's found her stroke. Second one is good. The lead now up to 18, excuse me. Big pick set there by Tomatuk. Clark chucks it over. Campbell with the jumper. Nice looking release there.
And a nice look to the side there. Campbell sitting all alone. We haven't seen her pop a shot yet really all game, so that was even a little surprising. But George Brown needs to take what they can get right now.
Good back and forth play. Abella and Rymack. O'Neal can handle it. 10 on the shot clock. Good swing over. Good work by Tomatuk again. All over Arbor. And a little push off there by Sullivan. Arbor's getting pushed around. There's going to be a foul. That'll go against Johns.
And the
Sullivan
game
to the line for 2 shots.
The game's getting physical. It has kind of been this way for most of today anyways. I don't think they've really let up on each other at all, but I know it's getting tighter now, and as we get into this fourth quarter, might get a little more scrappier here.
Donald steps on for Arbor. See what Sullivan can do from the line. First one's good. Second one is missed short. And Donald with a strong rebound. They're going to call a foul there. I think that's going to go against Medeiros.
Just a bit of a wild elbow there coming over the top of Donald's head. So good calls by the referee. They don't want to get this out of hand. They don't want to let things kind of boil over. So make the calls you need to do to keep the ladies kind of in check at this point and keep things at a cool.
That's now 4 on Medeiros, 4 fouls. Donald to the line for 2 shots. First one is strong. Second one is good.
And that full court press remaining for Mohawk, not giving up.
Good triple trap. Abella takes it away. Look at the speed. Finishes with the easy finger roll. Medeiros looks up. Takes it hard. No. Strong rebound by Abella. She gets way up there. Under a minute remaining. 40 seconds actually in the third quarter. Right back into Johns. Abella cuts baseline. Throws it up from behind the backboard. No. Sullivan tips it out, but to Ray to O'Neill. Primack again. Left side miss.
And finally, a defensive board for George Brown. Really lacking on the glass there. Not being aggressive at all.
Villar, right side. Nice fake. Gets Abella up in the air, but she cannot finish the layup. Abella, she has options. She faked it, gives it out. O'Neill, good pass by Johns, right at the buzzer, and O'Neill finishes with the two.
And that's passing right there. That's what they needed to finish off the quarter. Something positive and terrific work, ending around with a nice little feed and open jumper.
At the end of three, Mohawk leads by 20, 72-52 over George Brown. And let's take a look at some highlights of that buzzer beater, but let's take a look at some Steph Rimac highlights. She's been absolutely outstanding from three.
And especially in the early going, I think she hit 3 of her first 4 within the first 5 minutes. And so when you get started like that in the second half, it's kind of hard to not build off that. And Mohawk came out strong. They were using Rimac to her full advantage with that range. And at the same time, George Brown looked like they were a little sloppy at first. They didn't want to step out to the full length at the perimeter to actually make that play. They didn't want to hustle and make that defensive effort to go all the way at all times. And I mean, when you do that against players like Jen Abella and a Steph Rimac with the kind of range she has, she's going to burn you, and she did very well for Mohawk in that third quarter.
Steph Rimac now with 24. Only one other player on Mohawk in double digits. That's Jen Abella with 12 to go along with 7 assists and 5 rebounds. The best players so far for the Huskies are Tiana Sullivan, as we said, 18 points, 11 boards. Tomatuk with 11. And Mackay with 10.
And I wanted to say, I know Mackay, we thought before the game would have a bigger impact than this. She hasn't turned the ball over, but she's barely touched the ball.
Yep.
You kind of see it. Maybe what we should have really thought more of was the George Brown offense is I think, more of a one-turn type team. When they go down the court, they're looking for one person to have the ball that's got the opportunities, that has the skill to get things done. And unfortunately, Mohawk has sort of kind of turned their attention to that player at each time. McKay seems to be the person for most of the game, but when Sullivan's taken over, she has 11 turnovers, and it's not for no reason. It's because she's been with the ball. Like Tomatuk, 6 turnovers. They've had the ball enough that Mohawk has been smart enough to get on them, to focus more on them when they are getting those touches. And I think that's kind of also made for an easier defensive game for Mohawk. They can zone in on who they think is really going to be the critical aspect to stop her, time down the floor. And I don't think, really George Brown has had enough of consistency offensively to really feel confident with either of those 3 being their mains. So they keep switching up. You keep seeing kind of a driving shot here from a Sullivan, a driving shot here from a Tomatuk, a stop and pop from Villar. You don't really know where the offense is coming from. And I don't mean that in a positive way. That's right now working as a negative, because they don't seem to know who to go to right now down the floor.
And as we were saying in the beginning with the rotation, 23 points off the bench for Mohawk to 6 of the Huskies. We're back underway in the fourth quarter. Remember, this is for a berth in the OCAA tournament. The winner moves on to that. Loser goes home. And another miss there by the Huskies. Step back by O'Neill is off, and Villar handles.
An active hands by Mohawk, forcing a turnover before even the half point.
O'Neill gets the ball stripped by Sullivan. There's Campbell up. Offensive foul. Good take there by Julia Randazzo. Randazzo's all heart when she comes on the court.
And she's definitely been given it on the defensive end today. Good effort. And a lot of the talk from the George Brown sideline, keep your feet moving, keep sprinting, keep running. And I know it's hard. They haven't used a lot of subs in this game, but they seem to be slowing down a bit, and they need to keep that pace up if they want any chance here.
Great outlet pass to O'Neal. Gives it off to Donald. She finishes with the right hand very easily. Pilar, right side. Technical foul going against George Brown's assistant coach.
And I do kind of see both sides of the story here. There's been a lot of talking from both coaches. There's been a lot of comments thrown out at the referees. I know that they've held it for most of the game back and not wanted to make kind of an impression. There was early that moment with the opposing coach where it was a bit of a feisty response, but there really hasn't been too much thus far. So a bit of an unfortunate scenario for George Brown to be taking that technical from their assistant.
Rymack will take the technical free throw.
I believe that's Amanda Lavzon who has the technical taken.
Timeout on the floor for George Brown after a little bit of confusion. But lead is now up to 23, Mohawk 75, George Brown 52, and it's looking like Mohawk's game, but Mohawk can't think like that.
I know they can't think like that, but I would say even as we stand with 9 minutes to go in this one, I think we kind of know where this is headed, and I think this last moment here with this technical kind of sums this game up. It's getting to George Brown. It's been tough. It's been a long day. Mohawk does that to teams. I've seen this girls team grind out victories. The way they play full court press is probably one of the most annoying things I've ever seen, but that's what you need to do. You need to do that to win, and I haven't seen a team respond to it well. George Brown hasn't responded to it well at all today. They haven't really given us more than a quarter of true basketball, I think, and I think right now that boiling over point has been reached with all the players and the coaches, and maybe we're losing the grip a bit for George Brown here, so I think this last couple 30 seconds of what has taken place, I think it's just kind of summing up the game today from George Brown's perspective.
But again, as you see the look in Coach Duffy's eyes, it's just all business. It's all business as usual.
I think he wants the girls to play hard towards the end, because I think it's in moments like this that you may not be able to lose this by letting up here. You may still find a way to win this. You have such a comfortable lead. But to let that be the way that you roll into the playoffs, like you said, this is your first playoff game. You want to demand that you play a full, 40 minutes to the extent that you can.
O'Neal, Donald, good quick passing. O'Neal for three, too strong, misses everything, but Randazzo keeps it in, and Primac picks it up.
And what effort by Randazzo, like you've mentioned before. She's just all hustle.
Four, travel first by Randazzo. And it'll be George Brown ball right in front of the Mohawks bench. Good work by O'Neal. See if she can get on top of it, and they're going to say last touch from her.
And there's that pressure continuing. Not a moment to let up for George Brown. If they want to come across this halfway line in the 8 seconds they need, they got to be aggressive, physical, and they got to be moving, because they're not getting open enough right now.
Hunter John's good denial defense, but last touch off her, the referees say. Nice pass into Tomatuk. Medeiros cutting in, throwing it up way off the backboard. And Rymac's down, holding something.
And I will say, we've seen a lot of driving to the net, which was what they needed, but it hasn't been consistently good enough to follow up. So on a play like that, good cut again by George Brown, but I mean, the lack of lack of girls getting under the basket for that rebound is what's harming them now. It's that secondary effort. And Mohawk, 4 white shirts there. You draw the foul that time, but that's been another storyline to this game. Where's the consistent effort on both ends from George Brown?
Medeiros hits the first one. Second one is up and true. Substitution on the floor. Mackay is coming on for Campbell. That's been a common switcheroo for the Huskies. They've been going Mackay, Campbell, Mackay, Campbell. Most of these other girls haven't been able to rest.
And it's we said, the same thing down the court offensively is there's Sullivan, Mackay, Campbell, Sullivan, and what can you do when you're not getting more than those three giving you offense? Their defense is going to suffer, and right there, Sullivan not able to get back in time. Open shot made over her.
O'Neal makes the shot on the offensive end, steals on the defensive end. Let's see what she can do. Finishes with the left hand.
And a great steal off Mackay, looking tired, looking a little bit sloppy at the top of the three-point arc there.
Sullivan runs into a wall. They're going to say last touch off her. Substitution on the floor. Brown, Ireland, and Brown back on the floor. It's awesome to see the two Browns playing together.
And I will say, for George Brown College, one thing to keep an eye on, Faith Axer, their coach, has tried to keep the girls kind of level-headed right now, keep them focused, keep them driving to finish these last 7.5 minutes. And he's been kind of chatting with the referees to maintain that they're not going against them in any way. They're just trying to be aggressive to get this lead down.
Zola's shot's been on tonight, and that was a deep, too. Medeiros. Nice cross-court pass to Mackay. Mackay takes it up. And one.
And Mackay, great slip through. Pulling a little James Harden-like pull through there and able to step between two defenders and finish with the lay-in off glass.
She'll go to the line. Misses it short. Big rebound by Ireland. Brown is rushing. Goes and gets it. Mendoza hasn't shot so far. Brown cutting in and one. And one the other way now, and I think that's 5 on Sullivan.
And Sullivan not happy in the least with that call. I don't think she left her feet. I don't think she even stuck a hand out. She tried to let her come and kind of play in her way and make her step around her, and I don't really think she got a hand on her on that one. Great at camera angle from our guy underneath there, but unfortunately the call laid down and Brown to the line.
Another missed free throw. Ireland with the offensive rebound. Almost forgot that Sullivan was in the game. She was talking to her coach. Great passing out. Deep 2 for Brown. Missed. Ireland is relentless on the board trying to tip it out, but still great work for another bench player for Mohawk.
So wonderful offensive rebounding, and it's going to be one of those things that when we look back at tonight's game, a telling stat, the boards. The rebounding from Mohawk has been much more, well, just consistent, simply put.
And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page that you're watching right now. Subscribe to us, M-Link on YouTube, for all Mohawks volleyball and basketball action.
And that ball taking a step out off the foot of Brown. So Sullivan to inbound.
Clark gets it past. She's going to go all the way. Too awkward. Brown takes it down. She's Sullivan on her. 1-2 up and in. Carissa Brown, good work.
And George Brown, that's just another easy basket. You can't be having that. And they look like they're letting up. And the more they let up, the easier this is going to get for Mohawk going forward.
Good work by Gazzola and Carissa Brown. Carissa Brown yelling, "Let's go, trap." They call it jump ball. The arrow points Mohawk's way.
And if you're watching at home right now, you can see how tired George Brown's players are and how pretty relaxed and fresh and seemingly ready to go the Mohawk players are on the court. So you can see the difference in energy level right now, and it's taking a toll on George Brown.
Gazzola tried to get it inside. Denial defense by Sullivan. Just knocks it out of bounds. 5.5 minutes remaining in this game. Mohawk 85, George Brown 58. Gazzola all the way left side. Ireland misses the jumper off the back rim.
Oh, a bit of a trip there. I don't know if Brown took a step on Sullivan's shoe there, but She took a hard collapse, and she doesn't look like she's in too much pain, but she definitely gingerly arriving to her feet.
That was nasty looking, though, by Sullivan. Just crossed over
And
had Brown on skates.
I'm not sure if it was, like I said, a step on the foot or just simply that good a crossover that Brown just kind of lost her footing completely on her own feet.
Good passing inside, but taken away by Lento.
And we haven't seen much of her, the little one, on the court today, but that's what I mean. Their bench not as deep, not as used as Mohawk, and it's kind of hurt George Brown as we come to the end here.
Rendazzo gets it past half. Right side, Gazzola. She has a wide open shot, but she doesn't feel like taking it. Brown into Ireland. She finishes with the right hand. Good post position by Ireland.
And there's that terrific movement down low, just working the ball in and out. You're going to get your easy shot down low. And then now they're burying it more, and I find the Mohawk offense has kind of righted the ship here in the third and fourth quarter.
Good work by
more
Molar.
like them.
Crossing over, gives it off to Campbell. Campbell up, hook shot, it's good. Mohawks lead 25.
Still some
Four.
surprising offense from George Brown here and there.
Brown again wide open, nobody touched her. Nice feed by Batnick.
And these last couple easy baskets will bring the bench of George Brown to their feet and getting some movement going, some substitutions needed.
Alento off to Villar. Villar looks pooched. Right side, step back, short.
And like you said, just a little lack of energy probably coming up short there.
That's where the heavy arms come in. Gazzola all the way, gets it in.
And that's going to lead to a timeout, and they need that, George Brown.
As you said, timeout on the floor for George Brown. Good work by Birnie Gazzola there, finishing off glass. And this is looking good for Mohawk as they almost hit the 100 mark, 9 points away from that. You see it again. Gets the lucky bounce off the rim, praying for it to go in, and it goes.
And I think the offense is something that Duffy will be pleased with. I think scoring is always a good thing. 62 points against, I don't think Duffy will be pleased with. I know that's not the highest of scores, but they have had much better defensive games than this. They have had games where they've held teams to 50, to 45, to 40 and below.
27 sometimes.
As much as it's sad to say, there are scores that they have had immensely better defensive games than this. So I think there's room to improve. I think that's why Duff, as you see every time we look into a huddle, he's still intense. He still wants them to be giving 100% because he wants to work out some kinks. It's now that you want to fail, so you see it now. You can go back into the practices later in the week, look at the game film and work on these things when you have the time off and you're still in, a playoff berth. Unfortunately for George Brown, I guess this is the last 340 of their season. They're going to ride it out, so should be hopefully a little bit of an interesting finish. But then again, almost a 30-point lead at this point. We pretty much know how this one's going to come down to the final seconds.
We haven't said it much, but George Brown is a very young team. Only 3 seniors on this team, so a lot to build off of coming into the next couple seasons.
As well as a completely first-year coaching staff, head coach and both assistants, as well as their therapist, all first years on the job. So a new staff, with a new, getting their core players, I think, and their new ideas into the team. So it takes time.
Missed there by Campbell for 3. We see a new face in for Mohawk as Johns is up, missed, tipped out by Dutruzak.
Yeah, Desiree Dutruzak, I believe.
Dutruzak, okay. She's a new face to me since I've been away.
I believe this means all Mohawk players now on the bench have touched the court at one point or time.
That's great.
Tonight, too.
Randazzo's off. Dutruzak is wide open left side, but they find her inside. She loses it. Fleur takes it. She's still showing heart. Nice pass inside to Campbell.
And good work down low there to get the ball under the basket. Easy chance for Campbell. Will earn the foul and go to the line with that one.
Meanwhile, Ando really likes her bounce passes. She's very strong on those, coming all the way from Japan. So,
and not one of the most common places for a OCAA player to be out of, in their high school or hometown is listed as Japan.
yeah.
We also have another one, of course, Angel Mackay from Zaire.
Yeah.
So not exactly the most common OCAA backgrounds, but I mean that's what you get when you get kind of wonderful basketball that we
Canada.
get to enjoy.
Yeah.
So
There is Ando here. Very spastic moving. She likes the right-hand dribble.
she's a very active, like you said, very a lot of physical movement going on, even when really nothing is taking
Yeah.
place. So
Try to take it. But that's the heart you see. When Villar came off, she just burst into tears. Burst into tears because this is going to be her last game. You don't want to end your career like this, but that happens.
as well for Campbell in her 5th year, this will also be her last year, I'm sure. So 2 players for George Brown that are having their last games of their college careers, and an unfortunate way to go out, but like you said, Villar has had a pretty decent game. She's made herself known. She's had her moments, but any loss is a tough one for these girls. They are competitors, so that won't be easy for them to swallow.
Allison Murphy also knew she misses the layup. Mendoza rushes down. There's Medeiros all over her. Good pickup. So close. How do you say it?
Dutrazak. I believe
Dutrazak.
Desiree Dutrazak.
All right, that's an awesome name. Outside's Cadman tried to give it off to Medeiros and loses it. Minute 20 remaining, and Mohawk's most likely going to waste as much time as possible on the offensive end, but Ando is going to press.
And I will say, you got to give George Brown some credit. They're trying to play this out as evenly and as aggressively as they can within the limits. So good on them.
Dutrazak with the no-look pass to Johns to Batnick. Batnick finishes with the right hand.
And Mohawk 4 points away from the century mark with about a minute to play.
Medeiros, Campbell. Campbell pops one. No. Good box out by Ireland. Dutrazak runs into a brick wall as Campbell
good
and she
take
crosses
by
over.
Campbell.
Finishes, misses with the right
an
hand. I said it a little too
unfortunate miss.
soon. Going up for the alley-oop, it seemed. I don't think.
That was a little bit outstretched there
Yeah.
for Batnick from, I believe, Randazzo, but.
Ando hands it right off to Dutrazak.
And Desiree a little back and forth zigzag to
Goes
get
up
to
with
the
the
hoop.
finger roll in, good.
And how about that from Desiree? And you get some love from the teammates. They know she's had her share of struggles in her early going. She's barely been able to get her time on the court, but that was a nice little moment, and the bench enjoying that. And following that is, I was going to say, a little bit of rough stuff on the other end.
Medeiros on the floor. I can't tell if she's injured. I think their therapist should come out and talk to her.
I think there's one of those moments where, worn out, very tired. Ladies have come down to it.
Yeah.
She knows that this is the end of this run. So a lot of that weighing on them, and just a bit of an extra moment there to soak it in. And it's not going to be a fun ending and a fun ride back for George Brown tonight.
So 20.9 seconds remaining. I don't think Mohawk will hit the century mark because if they do, that's a little bit unsportsmanlike trying to shoot it up. There's 3 seconds separating the game and shot clock.
An unfortunate kick ball there.
Yep, ball's knocked out of bounds as well. Smiles on the faces of the Mountaineers. See what Ando does.
And I think George Brown going to waste it down for one final shot here.
Spins left, goes up. No. And Mohawk will just dribble it out, and on to the OCAA championship tournament they go. And George Brown Huskies will go home with a final score being 98-62 for the Mountaineers. And that was a score we expected after the first, but really ballooned to and ended up winning by 36.
I think it was kind of the way the game should have gone, really, when you think about it. I think the thing about tonight was that we expected a close game in the early going and maybe for it to kind of spread itself as it went along. Unfortunately, the game got started really far apart. Mohawk was out of the gate, the better team. George Brown slowly came back into it, but like you said, the second half, that moment in the halftime to kind of break, say whatever has happened in that second quarter, let's put it behind us. The Mountaineers clearly did that, and George Brown couldn't come out and equal any of it in the second half at all. So,
but that's the way you want to win, especially if you're some of the players that are going to be leaving us next year. You won't be able to see them, like the Abella, the Rymac. I think that was Randazzo. Yeah, you look good, Abella. You look good.
Occasionally we get a little love. I think one of the things is that the girls, they kind of knew what they wanted from today's game. Obviously, they wanted the win. They came out here with one thing in mind as a team, but it's little things like Jen, and Steph. We knew, like we said before, that long-distance shooting. Was it going to be a factor? Clearly, it was a factor. And did they come out with their best game? Yes, they did. So I think today is a satisfying day in the end for them. I mean, they got the win. They kind of had some things go right, that really hadn't in the last few games, and so improvement in all around every aspect for Mohawk.
And it's all about momentum. Momentum going into the OCAAs. And if they do well in the OCAAs, they'll be at the CCAAs, and that will be huge for Mohawk.
Yeah, so, I mean, good things to look for going forward for Mohawk. I think one of the things is the defense. Maybe not as good today as they would have hoped. George Brown, not a great shooting team, and they did give up 60-plus points. So I think Duffy has something to look forward there and say we need to improve. We need to, be better, be more focused, I think, through a full 40 minutes. But like you said, a lot of positives going forward too. So really a good day for Mohawk in the end.
Christine has an interview for us. Who you got, Christine?
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Steph Rymac. After an amazing win, you had an insane game. You were the top scorer by a long shot. Has the pressure of playoffs driven you?
Well, when it comes to playoffs, I always get more excited just because the adrenaline's going. So I feel like that brought into my game, and I just tried to focus on my A game. But I have my teammates to thank because without them, then my shots wouldn't be coming, and they just keep me going, I feel.
Yeah, well, it seems like you guys are all pretty amped up for playoffs. How is that momentum going to drive you forward into the next game?
Well, we want to win, so I feel like that's what our goal is. So by thinking that in our back of our heads, I feel like if we work the 2 practices this week, I feel like if we just keep going, we play like this, I think we'll do good.
You know what? I think that's a good goal, so good luck.
Thank you.
And Nick, back to you.
Oh, thanks. Usually I don't do this, so usually I give it to Liam. So now I'm going to give it to Liam because I think that'd be more fair.
Thank you very much. And for Nick Birnie, Christine Midgley, I'm Liam Dunlop. Stick around, 8 p.m. The men play the Seneca Sting. Stick tuned for that.